Why would conservatives think fact-checking is biased against them? I mean, what are you sharing if you keep getting fact-checked for false information? Think about it. What were conservatives sharing on Meta that was getting flagged so much? Are they spreading false information? And why were they so eager? And why are Republicans in general so eager to end the idea of fact-checking? What are they trying to share? What is the motivation for not wanting it to be fact-checked?
That these fact checkers brought this on themselves. They beclown themselves. They're not fact checkers. They're partisan sledgehammers. They're partisan assassins. They're not checking any facts. They exist. They exist not to check facts. They exist to try to screw Republicans. Let's be honest. That is what they have become. And Facebook had entered into this situation where these people were effectively making things up to try to tilt the narrative in this country on a lot of different issues. He was right to get out of this, and he is also right to follow the X model of community notes. You're going to get far better fact-checking, far better information by crowdsourcing this the way Elon Musk has done it. It's going to be a lot more fair. It's going to be a lot more fair than it has been because the fact-checkers were ridiculous.
I don't have any
misinformation zones and zones of hate.
I don't disagree with you about the danger of outright misinformation or even hate. I am concerned about who and what kind of people get to set those boundaries. And what conservatives have become concerned about over the years is that full institutional control of information distribution hubs seems to have been on the left. And now the liberals are howling about what Zuckerberg has done today because, you know, there's been a bit of a bounce back or a pullback from the left having full control of the boundaries of the discourse. I'm in agreement with you that misinformation and blatant disinformation is bad, but you have to admit some of the things that we were told was mis and disinformation over the years turned out not to be, and you got in big trouble if you decided to go outside those boundaries when the institutional elites were telling you to stop or worse to you.
What's going on, guys? So recently, Mark Zuckerberg decided to disband or move his fact-checking trust and safety team to Texas. And many liberals are outraged over the fact that he decided that he wants to reform the fact-checking model that Facebook is currently using and that he wants to allow more freedom of expression. Now, I've told this many times on this channel that the main reason that leftists love censorship is it gives them the ability to control what is allowed and what is not allowed to be expressed, regardless if it's true or not, right? If you want to try to make an argument, let's say, what's a controversial thing that many people will assume leftists will get offended about? Okay, repeal the 19th, for instance, right? People are allowed to make the argument, right? I don't know if you can make a good one, but people are allowed to make the argument, right? And leftists will want to censor someone if they try to even make the attempt at making the argument of why women shouldn't be allowed to vote, right? This is controlling the discourse. Like, this is what leftists are really mad about. It's not the fact that someone's spreading misinformation about repealing the 19th. It's not even about that. It's you're saying something that hurts a narrative that the left wants perpetrated in our society, and they don't want any dissent or disagreement to gain traction against a narrative that they so support. And I think this is the real reason why they don't like they hate the fact that Mark Zuckerberg is doing away with fact checking. And I pointed this out about fact checking a long time ago. Fact checking is nothing more than a use of people to cast doubt on an argument someone is making and pretend that it's false. For instance, if someone makes an unproven claim, hey, Lakers are going to win the NBA championship in 2025, I'm going to get fact check false. Lakers cannot, or is no way yet possible. Playoffs have not started yet. They'll say some BS thing just to say, oh, we fact check this as false. How can you fact check an unproven claim as false when there's no evidence to suggest that the claim is false? If something's neither true, if you can't prove something to be true or false, it's just an unproven claim. But what fact checkers have been doing is, if it's an unproven claim, actually, if they can't find any evidence to prove the statement is true, they automatically say it's false. What kind of dumb world do we live in where that is considered a fact check? Fact check means you found evidence to suggest something's either true or false. That's what fact checking objectively is supposed to be. But how has the left been using it lately? And a lot of these misinformation, disinformation experts are left wing. If you look up the studies, hey, what is the political bias of political misinformation experts? Overwhelmingly, they're on the left. This is why many conservatives believe that fact checking was biased. But enough about me speaking. We'll talk about a lot of things that Mark Zuckerberg is doing, and then I'll show you some more reactions from the left about the fact that fact checking is being done away with. But first, I want to show you some words from Mark Zuckerberg as Dana White decides to join the Meta board of directors in a major statement. Zuck is trying to take Meta back from the woke mob. Will he be successful? We'll see. But I want to show you this clip of Mark Zuckerberg's initial statements, and then I'm going to show you some reactions to why some people are hesitant to trust Mark Zuckerberg on this. Let's take a look.
Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today, because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
So I think you guys got the message of the direction that Mark Zuckerberg wants to go. And honestly, I think community notes is more fair way of fact checking, because then you crowdsource data, people give you references. That's how fact checking usually works, right? And this is an example. I want to show you an example because you know me, I like to show examples of what I'm talking about before, I just finish despairing these people, because fact checkers were so politically partisan, as I pointed out earlier in this video, is that they'll do things like this. For instance, Democrats to GOP. That's how you certify an election, right? And people, right, a fact checking mechanism on X will show up and highlight, hey, the election since 1988, you guys, is the first time in 3 decades that they didn't protest a GOP victory. Oh no, I can't believe they certified the literal Hitler presidency, unless of course you guys were full of crap, right? This is crowdsourcing. People put up Democrats to GOP. This is how you lose an election, that you then have to certify your opponents. You should notice that it should be noted that today's proceeding was the first time in no Democrats objected to the certification of a Republican president since the certification of George H.W. Bush in 1989. Community notes. Community notes will kick in because a lot of people are replying to what's going on, and eventually the community note will pop up and show references to where these instances that the community notes is trying to highlight. And that's what many people find helpful about the community notes system. Not just one organization that could be politically dominated by one political fraction sitting there like Snopes or these other fact checkers pretending to be independent, but in reality, the fact check only goes one way. Another example of how partisan the fact checkers was Donald Trump's very fine people comment, right, about the statues being taken down. For 7 years, Snopes has not fact check that assertion that Donald Trump was saying that there was good people on both sides claiming white supremacy and Nazis, right? And then 7 years later, after that instance happened, after Donald Trump made those comments, right? After years of conservatives saying, yo, this is a lie, this is the lie, this is a lie, Trump didn't say they were finding people on both sides. He wasn't talking about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists. You guys are misleading people. Snopes finally, I think starting last year, finally fact-checked that statement and said that it was mostly false. That Trump did not say that there was very fine people, and his fine people comment wasn't towards white supremacists and neo-Nazis. 7 years later, people don't have a problem with that? A very popular viral moment in our political discourse, and Snopes took 7 years to finally put the notion away that Donald Trump said these statements. And even during the election season of 2024, you still had Democrats repeating those same lies. Make it make sense. But fact checkers are freaking out over the fact that they're being called partisan. You got Joy Reid out here getting mad that she can't censor people based on political opinion. She can't just assume that a conservative is spreading misinformation because they're a conservative. This is the argument that many people are saying. Facebook's fact checkers freak out, calls emergency meeting after Zuckerberg pulls funding. The PolitiFact team found out this morning at the same time as everyone else. Far-left fact-checking outfits are in full-blown panic mode after Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced on Tuesday that Facebook will drop its current fact-checking system, thereby cutting off funding for the partisan organization. The International Fact-Checking Network, which includes signatures like PolitiFact and MediaWise, called an emergency meeting specifically over Zuckerberg's announcements, a Business Insider report revealed. This program has been a major part of the global fact-checking community work for years. The IFCN director, Angie Holland, said, people are upset because they saw themselves as partners in a good standing with Meta, doing important work to make the platform more accurate and reliable. Honestly, when it comes to social media, I think wisdom of the crowd is better than an institution deciding something to be true or false. That's just my opinion. Let me hear yours in the comment section. One PolitiFact employee said that they found out this morning at the same time as everyone else about Zuckerberg dropping the partnership. Zuckerberg said in a video, which I highlighted already, Zuckerberg stated that the controversial partnership with the left-wing fact-checking sites back in 2016 followed the election of Donald Trump. Conservative news sites, including the Daily Wire, quickly saw the suppression of their content for supposedly posing misinformation, aka anything that disagrees or casts doubt on a narrative that the Democrats are trying to highlight. However, information that was merely contrarian to the mainstream narrative was often rated false or misleading. You guys can't deny it in 2024. You like leftists, you can't deny that. Even satire from right-leaning websites such as the Babylon Bee was rated false by these supposedly independent fact-checker outfits, pretty much finding something to do, right? These people are not about informing you, right? They're not about trying to make you informed. They're just trying to get you to believe a certain narrative, right? Now, I want to go into some of the doubts people have about Mark Zuckerberg's sincerity here. And I think this clip will be a better example of what's like a better encapsulation of the doubt people have about Mark Zuckerberg and how he will follow through with this. Let's take a look.
As a journalist, as a member of the media for the past 30 years, I think it's absolutely appalling to watch him shift so dramatically the way that he has. But here's the thing. It's also very understandable because this is a guy that was all about the people, all about free speech, all about free expression and what have you. But then you went about the business of literally limiting conservative voices, of vax skeptics, along with other people. And so you did that, and some people accused you of influencing the election in 2020. Why? Because the Zuckerberg Initiative, led by his wife, donated about $420 million to causes that they believe help the Democratic cause. So if you're Trump, you're saying, I remember all of this. I remember how you came at me. I remember how you tried to backdoor me and you helped to facilitate booting me out of office. Well, now I'm back in power. And not only am I back in power, I got my man Elon Musk with me, your competition over at X. So all of a sudden, you're looking at Mark Zuckerberg and you clearly see him essentially, figuratively speaking, on his knees, trying to make amends for some errors that he has made, because the one thing we know that Trump has mastered in terms of its definition as in the dictionary is retribution and reciprocation. Mark Zuckerberg knows this, and he doesn't want to be in this man's path over the next few years. So it's very, very predictable what he's doing. And again, no matter how appalling we may find it, it falls in line with what we've known about politicians and surrogates, dare we say, that capitulate to their beck and call because they know it's something in it for them. You would think somebody as rich and successful as Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't be one of those individuals, but he's competing with Elon Musk, who, by the way, tweeted on X, "This is cool." In other words, you're in the same boat that I'm in. Welcome to the party. Let's all be fruitful and multiply. That's basically what they're saying. It's just that some people are slow to catch on.
So yeah, that's some of the people who are like, skeptical of Mark Zuckerberg's sudden shift into being free speech, right? Like Elon Musk. I think people are saying that he has economic motives to make this change, and I won't even deny that it could be a possibility. But it just shows that fact checkers, they didn't really instill enough, I guess, political or moral weight to actually maintain. And this is something I always say, that if you have good outcomes, it'll be easier to defend something. But you can't defend these fact checkers. These fact checkers are self-appointed disinformation experts, and you're like, okay, how did you get this credential, right? And when you ask them to back up their fact check is nothing more than fluff. Oh, you can't prove your statements to be true, therefore it's false. This is the simplest way I can highlight the discrepancies with fact checking. They don't find any facts. They don't check any facts. They just give you some narrative to dispute a fact, right? There's panic in the self-appointed disinformation fact checker groups that have coerced big tech to pay them to dictate which political ideas must be removed. The post-2016 financing of this censorship industrial complex brought power and profit. Facebook won't pay anymore. And this is what the real reason they're mad. The ludicrous DNC partisans whom Biden's Homeland Security tried to crown disinformation czar declared a catastrophe because Meta will no longer fund disinformation and fact-checking groups to dictate censorship. I'm concerned I might suffer syphilis overload today. So this is it. This is all smoke and mirrors. Zuck will not change. This is some people who casting doubt about it. Did you see that journalists apparently died today? The fact that Facebook has already contributed to the demise of journalism. This will be the final nail in the coffin. Newsrooms, especially outside the U.S., whose subscription models are difficult sales, gets grants from Facebook to provide fact checks. That money allows them to do other journalism. Like all this excuses, who cares? Even journalism is partisan now. Everyone, like at this point, we're on our own. It's a wild, wild west out here. Okay, it's a wild, wild west. But hey, I digress. I think I said enough here. He has Dana White as part of his board. So, I mean, we'll see. There's some right-wing influences in there, even though I don't think Dana White is necessarily a right-wing person. I just know he's aligned with Donald Trump. And I think that Zuck's willingness to have someone on his board, which affects the decision-makings of the CEO, I think it will give Zuckerberg some insight on what the current landscape is and makes his product more compatible and more competitive with X, because I think he's competing with Elon Musk, and he's seeing how the engagement is on X. He's seeing how it's going, and he's like, yo, we follow success. Just like in the NBA, just like in sports, when something works, everyone adopts it. And I think this is what's going on right now. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what your guys' takes on this thing. Is Mark Zuckerberg sincere? Do you agree with me that he's just trying to be competitive with X, as it seemed like to be the social media platform with the most engagement? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.